So you have, if Tony is wealthy, he is either intelligent or a good businessman. Tony is intelligent and he is not a good businessman. Therefore, Tony is not wealthy. Is this a valid argument? So we're going to work under the premise of this. We're going to let W be the case that Tony is wealthy. We're going to let I be the case that Tony is intelligent, and we're going to let G be the case that he's a good businessman. So if I translate these into statements, the first one's going to be if if W, then I or G. The second premise is going to be translated I and not G. And the conclusion is going to be stated as not W. I'm going to start with the three basic premises, the three statements, and come up with every possible outcome, truth value combination for those. So there they are. It's every possible combination of truthness and falseness between those three variables. I'm going to start with doing I or G because that's going to be that's one of the things I have to look at. So again, if I look at I or G, that means it's going to be true as long as at least one of them is true. It's only going to be false when both of them are false. So that's how I get the truth table here. Now I'm going to look at the case at not G, because that's another premise that I haven't really tested yet, or part of a premise. So basically I'm just looking at the G column and reversing all of the truth values. So anything that was true for G is false under not G, and vice versa. So now I can get into creating these premises, the truth table for the premises. So the first one, if W, then I or G. So I'm looking at this column here, and I'm looking at this column here. I'm looking at the first and fourth columns. Now again, for this to be true, the only time it's going to be false is if the W column has a true and this column has a false. That only happens once. Okay? Otherwise, I either have them both being true, or W is false and it's automatically going to make this a true statement. So now I'm going to look at I and not G. So I'm going to look at the second column and the fifth column. And for that to be a true statement, those two columns have to both have a true statement in it. It's going to be false otherwise. So I end up getting this for truth values. And lastly, I'm going to make a column for not W, because that's my conclusion. So I'm looking at the first column, and I'm just going to reverse all the truth values for that. So those last three columns are I'm now going to focus my attention on. I'm looking for instances where the green and purple columns have trues in them. So I have two instances of that happening, where both of them are true. Although I have down here that the two true statements lead to a true conclusion, I do have an instance right here where I have two true statements and a false. For me to state it's a valid argument, everywhere I have all the premises being true, I have to have the conclusion being true. Even if there's just one instance of all the premises being true and the conclusion being false, the argument is not valid. So it's not valid to conclude that Tony is not wealthy based off of the information that we have here. So this argument is not valid, it's invalid, it's a fallacy, whichever you want to call it.